I love this place in Fort Scott. A geophysical survey is taking place in Fort Scott. KOM's Chris Warner went to the fort in Fort Scott and has more on what exactly is being done.
The team is from Lincoln, Nebraska, specifically the Midwest Archaeological Center, which is part of the National Park Service. They're here to survey the Fort Scott National Historic Site with help of some fancy tech.
Gradiometers, electrical resistance, ground penetrating radar, electromagnetic induction.
And what they're using it for is to uncover lost history.
The goal is to locate those features in a non-destructive way. So whereas in the past we might be out here excavating to better understand the site or buildings that we suspect were once here, we're using these instruments to peer below the ground surface and get a better idea about historic features and the archaeology of the site.
There's a few things they know roughly where to look for.
The hospital, which is now the visitor center, had a latrine and a storage shed behind it, so we'll be looking for those two structures. Each of the officers' quarters had a series of buildings, the same buildings, latrines and storage sheds behind them. Some are still standing, but others are no longer standing, but we know they were located behind those buildings, so we'll be looking for those.
Others will be a bit harder to find.
We can see where the buildings once stood. We can lay out what we have known through drawings exactly where they were so that we can really get a picture of how this fort looked back in the 1840s, almost 180 years ago.
Carl Brenner with the fort says it's exciting to learn more about the real Fort Scott.
Most people that visit the fort don't have a clue what all's back here. When I started here, I didn't have a clue what all was back here. This is going to tell us those stories. This is going to share what really happened at the fort, what it really looked like. Is what looks like just a field actually has life or had life on top of it, but that life is being told through the stories that's below it.
The team will be at the fort for 2 weeks. They're planning to return in the spring following a prescribed burn of the prairie nearby to look for other pieces of lost history. In historic Fort Scott, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
Brenner says they're hoping to use what they find combined with old photos to create augmented reality tours where you're going to be able to hold up your phone, see what once was there. Pretty cool. People in my